Please note, the Council for Responsible Nutrition, CRN, does not endorse any guest appearing on this podcast or any products or services they may discuss. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of CRN. Thank you and enjoy the episode.
You are listening to Supplement Source, the official podcast of the Council for Responsible Nutrition. And now your host, Jeff Ventura.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Supplement Source. My name is Jeff Ventura. I'm the Director of Communications here at the Council for Responsible Nutrition, and I am joined by none other than Deshanie Ray. How are you, Deshanie?
Very well, Jeff. Lovely to join you today.
Deshanie, you have professional news for us. You've moved from one member company to another.
I have, and I am feeling very grateful for the new opportunity at Kemin Health. Still going to be very actively involved in the industry with advocacy efforts, and equally importantly, supporting Kemin in their regulatory and quality assurance leadership roles in the nutraceutical industry.
And that would be as head of global regulatory affairs and quality assurance. Do I have that right?
You got that correct, yes.
Well, we are here today to talk about kind of a fun subject. The 2026 CRN Radical Science Annette Dickinson Trailblazer Award season is upon us. You won it last year, so we wanted just to connect, get your perspective on the year in retrospect and what the award meant for you and what do you think it's going to mean and what should it mean for the recipient for 2026?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And I do want to start this conversation with a sense of gratitude, a gratitude to all those, of course, first to Dr. Annette Dickinson for paving the path forward for CRN and establishing CRN as a responsible, trusted trade association, the biggest, I believe, in the United States. Sense of gratitude to my champions who have helped me blaze the trail I have and the journey that I have set foot on thus far. And I do want to say that for me, this award it speaks to leadership, it speaks to innovation, but equally importantly, it speaks to having the courage to take risks and go outside your comfort zone. Truly, that has been a hallmark feature of my career all the way from, I would say, completing my secondary education through to, basic undergrad in South Africa. I had many odds stacked against me. And, it just took courage to navigate those challenges, start my professional journey here in the United States from ground zero, standing with conviction. You need courage to stand with conviction, to be willing to say no and give alternatives at the same time. And yeah, here I am today. So I'm really grateful that through this ability to lead fearlessly, take on new challenges, work in ambiguity, I am where I am today. So really grateful to CRN and Radical Science for acknowledging that.
You make such a good point. It reminds me of the word trailblazer and how trailblazer often means reinvention of oneself. You describe your professional journey as being at ground zero and it was sort of a hard reset. What is your take on that in terms of that being something that sometimes you have to do if you want to blaze that trail?
Yeah, 100%, and I think, for me, my journey has not been the traditional one. I would say I didn't have a playbook, so to speak, to work off and, to guide me as I made my way through my career. I'm grateful that I came in with a attitude of openness, a willingness to learn and grow and experience new skill sets and capabilities, having the courage to go outside my comfort zone. So that has allowed me to navigate and transcend roles and responsibilities in scientific affairs, in medical affairs, in regulatory, quality assurance, advocacy, medical marketing. For someone who wants to set new paths, there needs to be this openness, willingness to persist, to prevail, and it's okay if you fail. I think that's really, really important. To pick yourself up, start again.
If there's one thing that's certain, right, is that along the way, at some point, you will fail.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, I don't need to sound cliche here, but failure is a stepping stone to success. And for me, there have been things that I have tried early on in my career, realized very quickly, not for me. And then you pivot. You find the courage and you find the resources. You take strength and guidance from your network to pivot and find new ground.
Not to talk about age, but you and I are similarly aged.
Yeah.
And so when you think about the younger generation coming into the industry now, and I'm speaking specifically of, someone who might be recognized for this award, what kind of advice would you give them, reflecting on the past year of you being the standard bearer for this honor?
No, I appreciate that. And, I do believe our future lies in the hands of our up and coming scientists, professionals, irrespective of their functional expertise. And, the advice I find myself giving most often really comes down to a few core principles, right? The first is to stay anchored as a scientist, as a data analyst, irrespective of your function. You gotta be anchored in evidence, even when it's not the easiest or the fastest path forward. In this industry in particular, there's always pressure to move quickly or follow trends, but I believe long-term credibility really comes from consistency and rigor. The second advice I would give is, learn how to think across disciplines. That's exactly what I did as I grew through my career. It's not enough to be strong in just one area. Whether that's science, regulatory, quality, communications, medical marketing. The real impact happens when you understand how all of those pieces connect together and influence each other. The third advice is, and I alluded to this already, always stay curious and open. That's what really helped me pave my path forward, especially early in your career. Ask questions, seek out perspectives from those who may not be in your swim lane. Don't be afraid to challenge assumptions, including your own assumption. Sometimes you can become your own enemy. You can get in your own way. And it's important to separate that and challenge your own notions, perspectives, and assumptions. And the one advice I think I would really give to any individual, especially those who are starting young in the field, is I always remind people and myself, our voices really matter. And the earlier we speak up, the better I believe it is for us. So we don't have to wait to be at a certain level to contribute meaningfully. You just need to be thoughtful, grounded, and willing to engage. That can open so many doors for us.
In listening to your response, I came up with a memoir title for you, Anchored in Evidence.
Oh, I love it.
Huh?
That's me, for sure. That is so me.
Deshanie, is there any? This is really kind of what we wanted to hear about from you. It's just great to sort of catch up and hear. I mean, talk about trailblazing, right? Here you are. You've moved. You've in a new role. It sounds like you've got your hands full with the global in your title, so that's exciting.
Yes.
The trailblazing continues even as you pass the torch, it seems.
100% yes. And I think in my DNA is one that's really rooted in growing myself, learning, giving back. And that for me is what trailblazing is all about. Giving back not just to the organizations I work at, but giving back to the industry, giving back to the trade associations like CRN, giving back to young professionals, and most importantly, giving back to the people that we serve every day, the people who we are developing the science for, the products and the formulations, the communications, educating, disseminating that, all the great work we all do as an industry. And so that for me is how I give back. That's what it means for me to be a trailblazer.
Thank you so much, Deshanie Ray. You're welcome back on Supplement Source anytime.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jeff.